So yesterday we were discussing about softmax functions, and this is an expression for softmax functions. We all are clear on at this note, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move forward then. Did we see this slide yesterday?
No.
Okay, so we'll start from here. All right. So what I was saying that whenever you are getting any input functions, any task, I mean, for example, if you pick about the classification problem, okay, before by just looking at the data, it's very difficult to make an understanding that how many number of layers, how many number of neurons, and what kind of loss functions, and what kind of activation functions that you should keep to solve this problem. Okay, and deep learning or any kind of task in neural network, it's a job of hit and trial kind of thing. Okay, but gradually with some experience you'll get to know that if this is a kind of data, then I should have this configurations. Okay, so normally what we do is we try to first of all create some sort of a functions that takes the accuracy or performance metric coming out from the different configurations. Okay, and then we see which configuration is giving me the best performance. The accuracy which the configuration which gives you the best performance is the one which I'll be using in production model. Okay, so this is
by configuration you mean what model to pick, what activation function to take,
yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. See, let me put it here. There are mainly 4 attributes of any neural network. One is the number of layers. Okay, the other is number of neurons each layer. Okay. Third is learning rate. Fourth is activation function. Okay. And fifth, which is not really important, is the loss function, because loss is kind of fixed for certain tasks. For example, if there is a problem of classifications, probably most of the time you'll use cross entropy functions. Okay, but these 4 things, you have to perform some iterations with these 4 things to get the best configuration which is suited for your problem. Okay. Now, yeah, so here I have tried to perform some mathematical computations just to give you feel how the forward pass works. Okay, so what we said in the previous classes, we'll have something in input, right, and then we'll compute something for hidden layer, then it will follow to the subsequent hidden layer, and ultimately it will go to the output layer, right? So this flow, this movement of information or data, it is called forward pass. Okay, so we have just seen in a theoretical perspective. Here I'm trying to demonstrate it with taking some example. Okay, so what I'm here is I'm having a very simple neural network which is having one hidden layer, one input layer, and one output layer. Okay, and this is a problem of binary classification, right? Because at the output node, what I'll be getting, I'll getting some probability value between 0 to 1. If the probability value is bit less than equal to 0.5, I can say that that particular instance will go to class 0, else it will go to class 1. Okay, so you see here total I'm having 4 number of inputs, right? My input is 4. Number of neurons I'm having in hidden layer is what? 4. Let me write hidden. Okay, now if I'm having 4 input and I'm having 4 number of neurons in hidden, can you tell me what would be the total number of weights? This calculation we did on I think Sunday class. how many number of weights I'll be having between hidden layer and input layer? Just take a second and let me know. I'm having 4 number of neurons in input layer. I'm having 4 number of neurons in hidden layer. How many number of total weights I'll have between hidden layer and input layer?
18.
How come 18? You're saying 4 cross 4 plus 2.
Yeah.
Yes, you're correct.
So 4 for each. So 4 weights will apply for each neuron from each input, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's what I'm saying. 4 for 16, then plus 2.
Yeah.
No, plus
Yeah.
2 Bs, right? Or 1 B.
Total 4. No, your answer is not actually correct. See, total number of weights you'll be having is 16. 4 cross 4.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
neuron is getting input from 4 neurons. Similarly,
Yeah.
this also getting input from 4 neurons. So 4 cross 4 number of weights you'll be having.
Yeah. 16.
Okay. Yeah. And then this B by.
Oh, that is also 4.
Yeah. So that you will
Yeah.
be having 4. The
20.
total number you are having 20. For
Yeah.
time being, let us segregate this one. Total number of learnable parameter, if I ask, you should tell me 20. But total number of weights, if I ask, you should tell me 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always total number of learnable parameter is the sum of the weights and biases. Okay. So we agreed that there will be total number of 16 weights between these two. If I say, if I have to represent these weights, I can represent it in form of matrix, where I say is this particular weight is for W111. That means this one. If I want to represent the weight of this weight, the weight, the second neuron of my first hidden layer getting from my first input. This is what? First of all, I have to write 1, 2, 1. 1 represents the hidden layer. So this is the first hidden layer. It is the second neuron of the first hidden layer. That is by 2. It is getting input from my first input, right? So W12.
So the rule is it is followed by layer, neuron, and input.
Yeah. You can, okay. If there's a confusion, you can remember like this. The way I do is layer, then this is destination, right? This, you see the direction of arrow. This is destination, this is source. Layer, destination, source.
Okay.
Okay. Similarly, what this will be?
W131.
Yes. W141. Yeah. So can you tell me this one? Let me change the color. Can you tell me this one? What will be
W1?
W1.
Then what is the second? Neuron, right? So
no,
W1.
This one. This is the first neuron of my first layer, right? So W112.
Yeah, W112.
Right. Similarly, just last, tell me this one, and then we'll proceed.
W1. W1 13.
Correct. Now I think you have understood this thing. Okay. So total like this, I'm having total 60 number of W's, right? So what I'm doing is I'm arranging the 16 W's in form of this matrix of 4 cross 4. Okay, where this is my W11, this is my W121, W131, W141. Similarly, this will be what? This will be W1, this case, right? W112, and likewise. Okay. These are the W's between hidden layer, this one, and input layer, this one. Right? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now coming to the next thing. Now this is my output layer, right? Now you ask you what is the total number of neuron between my hidden layer and output layer? 4, right? These four. Hidden layer and output layer. Okay. That means what? Total number of 4 weights I'll be having between hidden layer and output layer. So let's say that those 4 weights are these 0.5, 0.8, minus 0.6, 0.3. Are you clear about this?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are my input parameters. I haven't told you how did I get this W's and B's. Right now we're just assuming that there is some learning algorithm which has given me this value of W's and B's. Okay. We'll go to that learning algorithm in the next class. Okay. Now, okay, so these are my optimal weights and these are my biases. Okay. Now let us take one instance where my input is 0.3, 0.5 minus 0.4 and 0.3. Okay. And I know my output, my real truth, the ground truth for this particular instance is 1. Okay, this is ground truth. We know this. This is the part in the data set itself. Okay. Let me know if you're facing any difficulty understanding any part. If you understand this well, you can solve a neural network in pen paper, which is amazing.
Yeah, so far it's clear.
Okay. All right. Now, first of all, this input I have, right? This axis, this X thing is what this. Now, what I want is A1, right? I want to compute the A1. How would I compute the A1? It is the weighted summation of my weights and input, like we had in perceptron.
Yep.
Right. So what I do, I multiply this weight matrix with my input vector, and I'll get something like this. And this has become in kind of input for my subsequent part. What I did is I multiplied this my weight matrix with my input matrix plus B. This is nothing but perceptron formula, right?
Will you not apply the transpose thing?
Transpose thing I can apply. See, what we said is this is equal to, if you'll recall the last class,
W dot X.
W dot X and yeah, right?
Oh, okay.
This is just a, so this will also be the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is coming from perceptron. Okay. In the previous class, if you recall, I divided this thing into 2 parts. First of all, do the aggregation and then apply the activation function. So right now I have done the activation. Now I'll apply, right now I have done the, right now I have just applied the aggregations. Now I'll do activation. So I'm applying sigmoid function on this. So I'll apply sigmoid function on these 4 values. I'm getting this thing. You see?
So Ashutosh, here why you're applying sigmoid function, but the output itself are between 0 and 1, right? So do you need to apply them still?
Yeah. In this particular instance, it is like it is in between 0 to 1, but in the next instance, it may not be.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. So as a, general recipe, we have to apply activation functions in all the neurons of hidden layer. Okay. So I have this H1 now. Okay. I have applied sigmoid neuron on these 5 outputs, which I got from aggregations. I'm applying now activation function. I got these values. Now these values are my input for this neuron, which is the neuron in output layer. Okay. So now you understand this is the input and these are my weights. So again, I'll do matrix multiplication of my W2 with H1, which is an input for this one, plus B2.
Wait. So from where did you get W2? W2 you got by the computation of W1?
No, W2, what I'm saying that this W1 and W2 is given.
W2 is also given.
Yes.
We are not calculating it.
No. This is something which we will be getting after training a network. Okay. So what I'm saying that for now, just imagine that there's a learning algorithm which has done some training and it has given me W's and B's.
Okay.
Now you understood. Now this input has to be multiplied with weights. Same thing. And now we have got a single value. How this we are getting a single value? You see here this W2. This W2 is what my 1x4 matrix. This I'm multiplying with another matrix, which is actually 4x1 matrix.
See, when you said W2 is 1x4, you mean 1 row, 4 column, right?
Yes, 1 row, 4 column.
Okay.
Now,
and H1.
Now, and this is my input, right? So I have to multiply W2 and H1.
Yeah, but why are you saying H1 has 4x1? H1 looks like also 1x4, right?
Yeah, but can I arrange this input in form of my column vector? This is my row vector, right? But I can write it like this also. It is up to me.
And is there where in the code we apply that transpose thing, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes like this?
Yes. In the code, yeah, there is a transpose part which does this thing, which converts the row vector into, but in theory, it is not really required, right? I can easily write this row vector as column vector. They both are same. So you see that the multiplication of two matrix where my one matrix is having dimension 1x4, the other matrix is having dimension 4x1. This will result me another matrix which will have dimension 1x1.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why you're seeing that here A2 is 0.948.
Yes.
Okay. Again, now I'm applying sigmoid function to this. Right. So what I'm saying that even in my output layer neuron, I'm having activation function as sigmoid neuron, sigmoid functions. I applied sigmoid function on top of this value and I got this one. And this is my y cap. This is my y predicted value. Right? You see my y predicted value is 0.72. Whereas what is my y actual? Y actual is 1. Right? Now, if I do the simple logic here, if I set a threshold of 0.5, in that case, obviously my y cap will be approximated as 1.
Yeah.
Right. And in that case, if you see the square error loss, your loss will be 0. Square error loss. Because my y cap and y is, they both are same. Are you able to understand this?
Yep.
Okay. Now, this is how we compute the performance of neural network. So I have shown you for one instance, right? Similarly, you have to do for n number of instances where n denotes the number of records you have in the data set, right? So similarly, you can find square error loss for all the n records.
Hang on. So what do you mean by all the n records?
See, you will have this kind of a data set, right?
Yeah.
I have done computation for one record, right? Here I have taken this x. This x is for first record. This is like, this is like this. This is 0.3. This is 0.5. This is 0.4. And this is 0.3. I have done computation for the first record. Similarly, you will have more records in the data set.
You mean the summation, right? W1 x1 plus W2 x2. So this is W1 x1.
No. See, this initially I have taken x, right? This is my x. So what is this x? This x is coming from the data set.
Yeah.
And that data set will have multiple records, multiple number of rows. This entire computation I have done for the one row of the data set. Similarly, you will have some other values also. in the second record. Here it might be 0.4, 0.2, 0.3. So similarly, you have to do these computations for all the rows which I'm having in this data set, right? And then you have to compute y cap for all the number of rows, right?
Yeah.
And from there you can determine the accuracy of your neural network.
Yeah.
Right? So this is how we do the performance analysis of neural network. Are you getting it?
So when you say analysis, you mean for every record we are getting y cap value, right? Which will be either 0 or 1.
Yes.
And then we'll use the accuracy formula to determine the percentage, right? Like number of predictions I mean number of correct predictions by total number of predictions.
Correct.
So that value will tell us whether the neural network is good or not.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So right now what I told, that was for square error loss. So similarly, you can do for cross entropy loss also. We have seen this formula in the previous class. Okay. So we just need to put the values. Now we have computed the y cap value. We can put our value of y cap in this equations, and we can get this cross entropy loss also for the specific record.
Yeah. So for this record, it was 1. So minus log 1 minus 1.
Yeah.
No.
You're correct actually. See, you have to, if your y equal to 1, if your actual truth is 1, then you have to put your values on this one. But if your actual truth is 0, then you have to put your y cap value in this equation. So in this case, we are putting our value of y cap in this equation. You just need to put this equation here, a value here, and you got 0.327.
But Ashutosh, will you not put instead of 0.7207, will you not put y cap as 1? Because it is 0.72, so we will make it as 1.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So 1 minus 1 is log 0 then, right?
Yeah. So in that case, your loss will be 0, right? If you're
Yeah.
putting here y cap equal to 1, your loss will be 0. But what if I don't want to, I don't want to binarize it? Okay. For example, if instead of this one, if my y cap would have been something like 0.51, still I'm rounding off to 1, right? Still I'm going to round. But you see, this is a very, so this is a point which is very close to boundary. It could have gone to the other category also, category of 0, right? In that case, the better loss function is binary cross entropy. This cross entropy functions, right? So I showed you 2 loss function here. One is a square error loss. If you will go with the square error loss logic, definitely your loss is going to be 0. Even in this case, also your loss will be going to be 0.
Yeah.
But we would prefer here cross entropy because, sometimes this rounding thing can cause an issue. For example, this using this case, we cannot round off this directly to 1 because it has classified as the result is 0.5 and this point is very close to descent boundary. It could have gone to the other side also. So in that case, we will not like to have our loss as 0. That will give a false intuition to your client.
Yep. Right? But 0.7 is a good enough number to round off to 1, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good enough number because you are 72% confident that you are placing this point in this particular category, but 51% is definitely not good enough. So
but anyway, here you are not rounding it off. You're just taking 0.72 and that is giving us the value 3.327.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, so the reason for telling these two things is from now onwards, we will not rely on square error loss. Square error loss was the thing that we studied when we were kid. Now we're no longer a kid in deep learning. Now onwards, when I say loss functions, just think of cross entropy functions. Okay. And the reason is clear why we are not relying on square error loss now. Okay.
Why? Because of this 0.5 thing, what you explained, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, similarly, I have done computations for other input also. So this is for one instance I have taken. I want you to do the computations for some other input also. So I share the slide. You just hide these answer part, and try to see if you're able to compute this or not by yourself. Just hide these part. Later you can refer it. Okay. Now just imagine that this is your input. Do the same computation that we have seen in the previous slide and check your answer.
So we have to manually multiply, right?
You can manually multiply because here this is just 4x4 matrix, right? Or else if you want to don't want to do manually, you can take a help of some calculator. But even if you decide to do manually, it will not take more than 15 minutes. And that will, make your understanding crystal clear.
So should we do now?
No, not now.
Okay.
In your free time.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have the correct answer here, so you can validate your understanding.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. There is one more example I have here. So two problem is the homework for you. Try to do it. Okay.
So basically, we have to come up with the matching answer what you have said, done.
Yes.
Theoretically, right?
Yes. Even if you don't match entirely, any close value is fine, because this is something I have done from Python. So, instead of getting 0.23, I would have got a very big number, and I have showing here the round off version of it.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Okay. Now another conclusion that I want to make here is
one question, Ashutosh. So in this slide, right, you are, for example, putting softmax. So how I will or software will just use that formula whatever you gave, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I'm coming to this part also. So right now what we saw was the binary classification, right? Where you are having only one neuron in your output layer. What if I'm trying to solve a multi-class classification problem where I can have multiple categories as my output? Okay. So what I said is, whenever we talk about the multi-class classification, always think softmax function in your output layer as activation function, right? So same thing we are doing here also. Now my example has modified a little bit. Now this is my neural network. Okay, I'm still having 4 number of neurons. I'm still having 4 number of neurons in my hidden layer, but in my output layer, I'm having total 3 number of neurons. This is my W1, which is the weight between hidden layer and my input. This is my W2, which is the weight between my neurons of output layer and hidden layer. So now you see here the number of the W2 will change, because we are having 4 number of neurons in hidden layer and 3 number of neurons in total output layer. So total 3 into 4, total 12 number of weights will be having between these two.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And I have this B1 and B2 as 0, right? Now this is my input 0.2, 0.5, 0.03 and 3. And I have the ground truth here, which is 0, 1, 0. So 0 is the, if suppose, let's say, if this is a problem of image classifications where having your total 3 kind of category, cat, dog, lion. Okay. So if I say, if this is my Y, right, that means what? My actual ground truth is dog, right? Because the index towards for cat is what? It is 0. For lion it is 0, but for dog it is 1. That means what? My actual truth is dog. This is one hot encoding. Okay.
Yeah.
If my actual truth would have been cat, then instead of this one, it would look something like this: 1, 0, 0. If it was lion, then it would have looked like something like this: 0, 0, 1. Okay. Now this is my again computation of A1. The formula still continues. This is for H1. So here in hidden layer, my activation function is still sigmoid. I applied sigmoid and I'm having H1 here. Now this H1 will become input for my this layer, right? I'm performing that aggregation again. in output now, instead of applying sigmoid, I have to apply softmax. And this softmax is giving me probability distribution. So what this is saying that according to your neural network, it says that there's a 23% chance that it is cat, 28% chance that this is dog, and 49% that it is lion. Right? Whereas what is my actual reality? My reality is that it is dog, but my network is saying that there's only 28% of chance that it is dog. It is saying that there's 49% of chance that it is lion. So according to your model, it will classify it as lion, which is actually false prediction, right? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So now if you do the cross entropy calculations, you'll see that now it is 1.2729, which is a big loss, because we have seen that the prediction is going to be false here. Now, if somehow if we able to increase this value, then our loss should decrease, right?
Hang on, Ashutosh. So in case of this one, we have the Y output is not single value, right? It is 3 values.
Yes, yes.
So you are going to calculate loss for individual all the 3, like 0.23, 0.28?
No. Here I'm having summation, right? The loss will be still single value. See, there will be always one loss value per record. Per observation, you'll have only one loss value. So this is for one random record, which was this one, and this is the loss I'm having.
Yeah, but in the cross entropy loss below, right, you have just written log 0.28.
Log 0.28. Yeah. See, so this is the function of, so this is your loss function, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is, I'm first of all, here I'm not computing the loss of entire record. I'm just computing the record of misclassification, loss for misclassification, because ultimately this is the record which is of interest to me, right?
Why it is of interest to you? Because the ground truth is 1?
Yes, the ground truth is 1 for dog. So ultimately, it is my dog category which is getting misclassified, right?
Yeah.
And which probability value is representing my dog category? The second one.
Yeah.
That's why it is taken 0.28, which is the second value.
Okay, so for this particular record of X has 0.2, 0.5, this much, and ground truth 010, the loss is 0.28 only, because that is of my interest.
Yes.
Had Y been 100, meaning the first label, which was a cat, then we would have taken 0.23.
Correct.
Okay. And the summation which is written above refers to the summation of every record of X, right?
Yes.
Multiple records we'll have, so we'll have multiple Y cap. That's what that summation is referred to.
Yes. This is the overall loss, the loss of your entire data set.
Okay.
You'll have lot of Y caps, right? Y caps for total number of rows. If your number of rows is n, or let's say if it is k, then this formula is for your entire loss over your data set. Whereas here I'm just computing loss for one specific record, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So my point was, if I increase this value, right, then my loss should decrease.
Yeah.
Right. So let us see in the next example. So here now see, wait. Okay, I have taken another instance. Okay, so here I have taken another instance where my actual Y is 001. That means I'm talking about my lion category. Okay, my actual image was lion, and now you'll see that your Y cap is having the highest value for your lion category only. That means my model is going to make correct prediction.
Yes.
right? That's why you see that here loss is lesser compared to this one. If you would have chosen the square error loss, then probably the loss would have been 0 here, because this is a category which you would have approximated as 1.
But why would I approximate 1, right? It is less than 0.5.
No.
Or it's up to us.
No. Here you'll approximate this as 1, because now we are having 3 category, right? So my decision boundary is not 0.5. Now it is 0.3.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. So this is greater than 0.3. Only this is greater than 0.3, right? So this would have been approximated as 1, which is actually matching my true label, and my loss would have been 0. But since we're interested in cross entropy loss, we are computing the cross entropy loss for this particular category, and we are getting 0.7661. Okay, so if I'm making a correct prediction, your loss will be 0. If instead of this, my value, my 0.46 value, if instead of this one, if it would have been 1, then you'll see that my cross entropy loss also will be 0. If instead of this, if I say it is 1 and rest all this would have been 0, in that case, your loss would have been 0 here. Okay. Is it clear?
Well, you're putting value 0, 0, 1 there, right? But that would not be the case, right? Y cap will always be some real number.
Yeah, so 0 is also a real number, right?
But is that even possible that you will get this perfect 0, 0s and 1s? I mean, whatever you are showing right now looks like you'll always see the 0.0 something, 0.2 something.
It's very unlikely, but what I can do is I can set some threshold. I can set some averaging, like I'll take only 2 places after decimal. So if it is something like 0.0009, I can consider it as 0.
Yeah, you can consider it as 0. That I got it. But why are you like? I mean, what is the context here? I guess I did not follow that. Why are you saying it as 001?
Okay. Let's discuss this in another bridge. This call is